What if rushing your custody agreement meant losing more than just time with your child? Most women don't realize it until it's too late. The custody terms they agreed to in exhaustion, fear, or frustration slowly become the rules that shape the rest of their lives. Like, you think you're signing paperwork just to get it over with, to escape the fighting or finally feel peace. But what you're really doing is locking in decisions that can affect where your child lives, how often you see them, and even what kind of mother you're allowed to be in the eyes of the court. Divorce or separation isn't just emotionally draining, it's a pressure cooker. You're tired, you're being pulled in 1,000 directions, you might feel guilty, you might feel scared. And when someone, maybe even your own lawyer, says just sign, it's the best you're going to get, it's tempting to believe them. Because at that point, anything that promises to end the chaos feels like relief. But here's what no one tells you. Custody agreements aren't just legal documents. They're blueprints for your future. And the parts you overlook, the vague language, the temporary plans, the compromises you make just to keep the peace, they come back. Not right away, not the next week, but months or even years later, when your child's schedule is locked in, when your holidays are no longer yours, and when trying to undo what you signed becomes a legal battle you didn't expect to fight. This video isn't about fear, it's about clarity. Because too many women are told to be flexible when they should be firm, to settle when they should be asking more questions, to move quickly when their future is asking them to slow down. If you're anywhere near a custody negotiation or know someone who is, stay with me, because the things women miss in the rush to sign are the very things that shape everything that comes next. When it comes to custody, most women walk into court thinking their story matters, that if they just explain the truth, how much they love their child, how hard they've fought, how much they've sacrificed, the judge will see their heart and make the right call. But the courtroom doesn't work that way. It doesn't reward emotion. It rewards paperwork, patterns, documentation. And if you don't know that going in, you're already at a disadvantage. You can cry, you can tell the judge about the sleepless nights, the endless school drop-offs, the times you held everything together while the other parent barely showed up. But unless those moments are backed by records, text messages, emails, calendars, receipts, witness statements, they fade into the background. And when the other side brings in printouts, logs, and a polished narrative, the court sees them as the prepared one, even if you did far more of the actual parenting. And this is where so many women unknowingly lose ground. Not because they're unfit, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they trusted that honesty and emotion would be enough. It rarely is. Judges aren't looking for the parent who cares more. They're looking for structure, proof, stability. And if the father shows up with a plan and a binder, while the mother shows up with pain and a verbal explanation, it shifts the balance. And that doesn't mean your love doesn't matter. It means the system is built to recognize strategy over sacrifice. And if you don't know that going in, if you rush through the agreement without making sure your role is clearly documented and defined, you risk letting someone else rewrite your motherhood on paper. And once it's written, it's hard to take back. One of the most dangerous phrases in a custody negotiation is "just for now." Because what starts as a temporary agreement often becomes the new normal. And once a judge sees that it's working, they don't want to change it. You might agree to something short-term just to get through a rough patch. Maybe you're in between homes. Maybe your lawyer says, let's give him more time for now, and we'll fix it later. But here's the hard truth. Temporary custody plans have a way of turning into permanent ones. Judges value stability above all else. Once a routine is established, they're reluctant to disrupt it, even if that routine isn't fair to you. If your child starts spending most of their time with the other parent, even for a few months, the court may see that as the new status quo. And unless there's a major issue, they won't want to change what they believe is working. Your intention might have been to revisit the arrangement once life calmed down, but by then the foundation has already been laid. And the system isn't built to reverse that easily. Many women don't realize they've lost leverage until they try to make a change. Suddenly they're told that shifting custody would be destructive to the child, that the schedule they agreed to, even if it was under pressure, now looks like a preference. The father's lawyer will argue that the child is thriving in the current arrangement, and the judge may see no compelling reason to change it, especially if your case lacks new evidence or a clear decline in the child's well-being. So before you sign anything that feels unfair but temporary, ask yourself if you're ready to live with it for years. Because in custody, what you settle for today can quietly become the law of your life tomorrow, and undoing that takes more than a new opinion. It takes a legal mountain you may not be prepared to climb. One of the most common mistakes women make during a custody negotiation is underestimating how much certain days actually matter. Holidays, weekends, birthdays, they get traded, postponed, or given up completely just to keep things peaceful. You might think it's just one weekend, or I'll get extra time later, but once it's written into a custody agreement, that time is no longer flexible, it's law. And what feels like a small compromise in the moment can slowly chip away at your presence in your child's life. Here's the part that stings later. You don't get those years back. The missed Christmas mornings, the back-to-school weekends, the spring breaks you thought you could plan next year. It all adds up, and the courts don't see it as lost time. They see it as time you willingly gave up. Judges assume that what's in the agreement reflects what both parents were okay with, even if you felt pressured, even if you were exhausted, even if you only agreed to end the conflict. Then if you try to change it later, you'll have to prove that a shift is necessary, that it's in the child's best interest to alter the arrangement, not yours, theirs. But emotional regret isn't enough. Saying, I didn't know how much it would hurt to miss every other birthday, won't hold up in court, because the agreement will speak louder than your feelings. Every mother wants peace. Every mother wants to avoid the fight. But don't rush past the details that feel small now, because later, when your child asks why you weren't there for certain milestones, you'll realize those unimportant weekends were the heartbeats of their memory. And the only thing harder than missing them is knowing you signed them away. And there's a part of custody that most people don't fully understand until it's already out of their hands, the difference between physical custody and legal custody. Physical custody is about where your child lives. Legal custody is about who gets to make the big decisions. School, medical care, therapy, religion, the things that shape your child's future. And when women rush through custody agreements, they often focus on where the child sleeps and overlook who has the final say in their life. Happens quietly. You assume joint custody means equal power. You think shared means shared in every way. But depending on the wording, you could have your child with you half the time and still have zero control over the school they attend, the doctor they see, or whether they're put on medication you disagree with. You could be the one making lunches, helping with homework, and showing up for every game and still be legally shut out of the decisions that matter most. There were mothers who find out after the fact that their child was transferred to a different school without their input, that medical procedures were approved behind their back, that the other parent chose a religious path they never agreed to. And when they tried to challenge it, they're told the agreement gave that authority to the other side, not because they were careless, but because they didn't know what they were signing. This is what makes rushing so dangerous. You're not just signing over time, you could be signing away your voice. And the pain of being sidelined while someone else makes choices about your child's health or education is something no parent expects until it happens. So before you agree to anything, read the lines about legal custody, ask the questions, don't assume, because giving up your decision-making power doesn't just hurt you, it shapes the life your child will grow up in. Most women expect pressure from their ex during a custody fight. What they don't expect is pressure from their own lawyer. The truth is, some lawyers don't push for what's best. They push for what's fast. They see you tired, overwhelmed, crying between court dates, and instead of helping you hold the line, they suggest you just settle, not because it's fair, not because it protects your long-term rights, but because it's easier for them. They might say things like, "This is the best deal you'll get," or "Let's just avoid a long fight." And in that moment, you might believe them. You're already emotionally drained and you want to believe someone is looking out for you. But what you don't realize is that some lawyers are just trying to wrap the case up. They've seen dozens like yours. To them, you're one more file on the desk. And the quicker it's closed, the sooner they move on. It's not always intentional. Some lawyers think they're helping by keeping you calm, nudging you toward agreement. But when that nudging turns into silence around critical issues, like decision-making rights, parenting time, or emergency access, it stops being support and starts becoming damage. And once that ink is dry, it's you who lives with the result, not them. There are women who regret not asking their lawyer to push harder, who wish they had insisted on another negotiation, who realized too late that their lawyer was managing the case, but not really fighting for them. And the most painful part, the moment when you realize you were coached to give up things you didn't fully understand because someone thought you were too tired to keep going. So ask yourself, is your lawyer pushing for closure or fighting for fairness? Because in custody cases, those two things are not the same, and the difference can change everything about how you live your life after the papers are signed. Regret doesn't always show up right away. In fact, for most women who rush a custody agreement, it doesn't come until months later, sometimes years, when everything feels settled but nothing feels right. When weekends come and go without your child, when school decisions are made without your input, when the holidays feel strangely quiet, and there's nothing you can do but remember the moment you signed just to make the stress stop. At the time, it felt like the best option. Everyone was telling you to move forward. Your ex was pressuring you. Your lawyer was worn out. You were exhausted, hurt, and just wanted the storm to end. So you said yes. You gave up time. You agreed to details you didn't fully understand. You convinced yourself you'd figure it out later. But later came, and the agreement didn't change. Your life did. Now you're living in a routine that feels one-sided. You're technically a co-parent, but emotionally it feels like you're visiting your own child's life. And what hurts the most isn't the legal language. It's knowing you had more power than you used, that you were allowed to ask for better, that waiting just a little longer, asking one more question, or saying not yet instead of fine could have changed the way things look right now. No one talks about this part. The quiet ache that follows a rushed signature. The moment you realize peace came at the cost of presence, and that undoing it now would mean reopening wounds you worked so hard to close. So if you're in the middle of it, if you're tired and ready to sign just to breathe, pause. Take one more day, ask one more question. Because protecting your future isn't about winning in court. It's about making sure you don't have to live with the pain of giving up what should have never been negotiable. Custody isn't just a legal process, it's a turning point. And what you agree to now doesn't just shape court papers. It shapes birthdays, holidays, school pickups, bedtime routines, and the way your child remembers who showed up. The pressure to move fast is real. The exhaustion is real. But so is the cost of rushing through something that was never meant to be decided in a moment of emotional survival. You don't get to rewrite these decisions later without a fight, and sometimes the damage isn't just what you lost, it's what you never knew you could have protected. Your voice, your time, your presence. The little details that seem negotiable now, they become the backbone of your everyday life later. So if you're still watching this, take that as a sign. Slow down. Don't be bullied into silence or speed. Ask better questions. Speak up, even when you're tired. Because the woman who protects her peace today is the same one who doesn't wake up years from now wondering what happened to all the moments she thought she'd still have. If any part of this video hit home, leave a comment and share what stood out most. Your story might help someone else speak up just in time. And if you want more content that protects your future, not just your feelings, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You're not alone in this, and your story isn't over.